Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, ANITA FINLEY.
So none other but Patrick Cassidy is going to tell us about this great performance, that at least I thought it was a fantastic performance, She Loves Me, at the Wick Theatre, and he's going to tell us a lot of things. So welcome to the show, Patrick.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here, ANITA. Thank you for having me on.
Okay, well, it's a pleasure for us to hear you, and it must be fun to be with so many talented stars that you had. And I just have to say one thing. When you came out, you looked absolutely gorgeous. We all took a deep breath. My friend said, "Oh my gosh, look at him! That suit and the way you have such great posture."
It's amazing what a little makeup and a three-piece suit will do for somebody. You know. Well, I thank you very much. The template for me playing this part is truly my father, Jack Cassidy, who played the role in the original production and won the coveted Tony Award for it. So when I got the offer to do it, I was really excited, and I've used him as the sort of ideal role model of playing this part. And I try in rehearsal, and I try when I'm out there to channel my dad as much as I can, because throughout my career, people have told me, not only on the stage that I look like him, but I have many of his mannerisms. So he is the prototype for Stephen Kadai by Patrick Cassidy.
Oh, that must have been so lovely. And was your mother there? Someone said, who was there supporting you?
My mom. My mom, Shirley Jones, flew in from California. She was excited too, because this show and him doing the role in 1964 was a huge part of their life, obviously, and so she remembered the show so well. And I must say, my mother over my 40-year career has been incredibly supportive. She has literally seen me in every theater production I've ever done. And I'm talking about, she came out to Williamstown, where I did a play, and came out to Washington, D.C., where I did a musical, and she's even seen a few staged readings I've done. So she has been ridiculously supportive over the years, but she did not want to miss this one.
But I always ask people, Patrick, about when they're very nice and kind and sweet, as you appear to be. I bet you had a lot of mother's love. It always seems that that's what you can tell, that you had someone to support you mentally. And, of course, and it comes out now. That's what she does. And it was such a pleasure. I didn't get to meet her, but I heard that she was there. But let's talk about doing this show. So the cast of characters were just outrageous, weren't they?
Well, there's a long history with this show. It goes back to the movie Little Shop Around the Corner. And of course, then the musical was written, like I said, in 64. And, it's a beautiful, what I call a little gem of a musical, because it's very intimate. It basically takes place in the entire perfumery shop, and with some very, like you said, sort of eccentric and really dynamic characters. And it's a love story, between George and Amalia. And the interesting thing for me, quite frankly, is that, I'm used to usually playing the lead, and Stephen Kadai is really the secondary character. And so it was, but there's a lot of stuff within the store where I'm in the background, a lot, because we're selling and we're doing. And I have to tell you, that was very foreign to me. I had never sort of had to improvise, I felt like I was an extra on a movie, It's been a real education in how to do convincing background work. But I've got two terrific numbers in the show, one in the first act and in the second act. And like I said, there's a lot of history in my family and for me doing this part. So I'm very grateful for it.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I thought you should have been the star. I said, what is he doing in the back there? But that's...
Well, but I must say, the two actors that play Amalia and George are just terrific.
Yeah.
And they really sell the story of these two people who they're basically pen pals, and they don't know who each other is.
Right, I love that.
And yet in the working atmosphere, they don't get along. And it isn't until the end that we figure out that they are the two sort of love pen pals that really are supposed to be together, and that's the essence of the story. And one of the difficult tasks, my father pulled it off brilliantly, but when I was in rehearsal, my character, Kadai, he's a cad. He's a real womanizing cad. And that's not easy to make likable. It's a hard task to, go on the stage and play that kind of cad and still have a twinkle in your eye and still have fun and and to get the audience to like you. So that becomes my task every performance.
Especially in this day and age. Patrick.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Don't think that hasn't come into my. I mean, I'll be honest. I don't know if I would have taken this part had it not been, attributed with my dad and wanting to play that, because the character himself, he's not a likable guy, and you're right, not a likable guy today by any means.
Yeah, because I mean, but it was really I guess because you look so good, we figured out that you had to be a gigolo of some sort.
Well, like I said, if I can laugh at myself, and if I can get the audience to laugh at me laughing at myself, then hopefully he has a little bit of humility, and he gets burned, which is always the great thing that happens to the guy. He gets fired and he gets let go, and so he has to live with himself. So there you go. So
let me ask you a question. As an actor, I go to a lot of theater. We experience the show, and then the next day you have to do this again. How does that work for you? I mean, do you just, when you get on stage, it's like it never happened before and you're right there again?
Yeah, and I think the craft itself is figuring out how to make it new every night for yourself, even though you're saying the exact same dialogue and singing the exact same lyrics and doing the exact same blocking and movement. So it's about, rediscovering. That's the craft of making it new because it's a brand new audience. They've never seen it before, but it's become, an 8-show-a-week process for me. And one of the wonderful things about the theater is if you blow it one night, you can try it the other night. You can try something, and that tends to take on in a longer run. I mean, we have a good month here, so I can promise you the performance I gave opening night is going to evolve by the time I get to December 23rd when we close.
So I should come to the last show, right, to see how it changed?
Oh yes. Hopefully I'll have 3 more numbers in the show, and I'll be chewing the scenery as much as possible.
Well, the other question that I have is the whole idea of this. Was this taken from something else? So usually somebody does they create a play, but it was either a book or it was something. Was this something else, or was it taken?
Well,
from
yes.
else?
Like I said, the movie Shop Around the Corner with Jimmy Stewart.
Oh, that was a movie. Okay.
But that's exactly. That was a film. And then, I think it's called Little Shop Around the Corner, and I'm pretty sure, although I don't want to be quoted on this, I think there was a film before that in the 30s. And I can't, and the name eludes me now, but yes, it has been, a lot of times composers and will take, pieces of material either from a movie or from a book or from something, and they'll build a musical out of this. And there's no difference with this one. This was built from a movie. And Jerry Bach and Sheldon Harnick, the composer and lyricist, wrote it in the early '60s, and then presented it on Broadway. And again, you're talking about the 2 guys that wrote Fiddler on the Roof, and that alone sort of as
right,
the time. Yeah. But this show is a much smaller show and much more intimate, and it's a wonderful show for this space at the Wick Theatre.
Yes,
because
it
the
is.
Space, there's not a bad seat in that house.
Right.
And we also got incredible reviews. The critics down here in Florida have been really kind. They love the show. So I'm praying and hoping that the reviews sell tickets and people come out and see this gem of a musical.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. So I just want to tell everybody, it's She Loves Me. It's at the Wick. It's going until December 23rd. And for those of you who have not been to the Wick before, you're really missing out. Not only is the show fabulous, but the decorations that Marilyn Wick has put out and Kim Wick. I just have to say that I love the theater. I'm very close with them. I can't tell people I'll tell you the one difference, too, and I don't know, I know you're in many, many theaters, but it's rare down here in South Florida, after you see a show, Patrick, that everyone just gets up, goes out, gets their card, and they go home. Not at the Wick. You see
No, not at all.
Isn't that lovely what they do?
Oh, it's incredible. In fact, they'll have cabaret, and they'll have, you know, they have a beautiful cabaret place in the lobby with you know, with a full bar and stuff. It's truly amazing. And you're right. I mean, if Marilyn didn't have a successful costume business and now a successful theater, she could completely have a successful, you know, decorating business, because she's astonishing in terms of her talent. You know, I must also tell you, I have to give a plug. I'm doing my own show on December 18th. It's entitled Just Another Family Tree, and essentially it's just that. It's about me, my career of 40 years in the theater and in television and film, and my entire family. Because my entire family, as you know, and for the listeners, is, you know, Shirley Jones and Jack Cassidy and Sean Cassidy and my brother David, you know, who just passed, unfortunately. But it is about growing up in a family where every single person around the dinner table is in show business, but we're still a family. Yeah. So, and my son, who is Jack Cassidy as well, that is his name, is about to embark on his own career. He was on The Voice. He was got to top 12. He was on Alicia Keys' team. He is joining me for the show.
Oh,
and he has and he has a new single that's going to be released this Friday on iTunes. And he's touring with a Christian artist. He's an incredible singer and songwriter, and he's going to be a part of my show as well. So I'm hoping that people come out and get a little education, because it's a real personal and in-depth look, both with stories and music, about what it was like growing up at Cassidy.
Yes, I was just going to say that but I'm sure that if we go to see the show, and I would definitely go to see it, but it's December the 12th, 7:30.
No, it's been changed. It's now December 18th. Yeah, it's the date of it is a Monday. They changed it because they wanted more time to advertise and stuff like that. It is now December 18th.
Okay, I'm glad you told me.
Night.
Okay,
yeah.
Monday night, December the 18th at 7:30, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so let's do that, the 18th. Let's go, because you're going to see something very unusual. This is not typical where we get a whole family there. And so is your mom actually staying until that time?
No, but I guarantee you, and I don't want to, with the amount of film clips, with the amount of film clips and the amount of pictures and the amount, and, I mean, you really get to go inside my home. You really get to go, and I even do a little Q&A with the audience where I allow them to ask, you know, questions that are very revealing about what it was like being a middle child. You know, you mentioned about my mom. I'm a middle child. And middle children tend to be very needy, so I am truly a mama's boy. and I do a tremendous tribute to my mother in the show. I do a tribute to my father in the show. I talk about siblings and that whole thing. And then, of course, my own children, my own wife. The talent goes far. It's a big tree, and that's why it's called Just Another Family Tree. So
I have to call you Mr. Needy, right? I know. No, but
oh yeah, it would not be the first time. Trust me.
Oh, that is really terrific. And so, where did you all actually grow up?
I was born and raised in Santa Monica, in California. But I moved to New York at the age of 18 because I got cast in the Shakespeare Festival's The Pirates of Penzance, opposite Kevin Kline.
Whoa!
And there I was. I was 18 years old, playing the young role of Frederick in the Gilbert and Sullivan show, and yeah, I was on Broadway, and I couldn't believe it. You know, I went, and you know, some people might not know this, but it's the largest Gilbert and Sullivan role ever written, which is Frederick. And there I was, and it was an amazing sort of education, and because I was on the stage 8 shows a week, you know, with people like Kay Ballard and Maureen McGovern who did it, and all these wonderful pros, and I was there learning and at the same time studying in the daytime. I was in class, you know, at Herbert Berghoff Studios in New York and studying every day, and that's really how I learned my acting chops. And from there, I became a New York actor, but had a residence in California, so I had the real I was very fortunate. I had a television career for a long time in television, and then every time the television business, which is very fickle, I'd fly back to New York and do a Broadway show, or I'd do a tour, or I'd do a regional show. So I've been very blessed in that I had a bi-coastal career.
Okay, so now this is the question. When maybe you didn't have the next job in sight, I bet you were a fashion model.
No.
You never, I would think they would have grabbed you, Polo or somebody, because, man, I'll tell you, you have the face and body of a model.
Oh, well, hopefully it's not too late for the AARP. I'll be the AARP model.
Right, no. No, it's true.
I actually did, though. I had never had a regular job, and I'd always been a performer. And about 5 years ago, I wanted to see what it was like. So I actually said, well, what am I qualified for? Well, I've been selling me for my entire life. I could probably sell something. So I went to a Toyota dealership, and I got a job as a salesman.
Oh, this is too much.
Oh, yeah, and it was truly an amazing experience. You talk about humbling, and you talk about, but the idea of selling cars, and I have to tell you something, I absolutely loved it. I love people. I love to interact with people. And me on the car lot, of course, I had no product knowledge whatsoever. Toyota has about 5,000 different types and styles of cars. But I would sing musical theater tunes on the lot.
Oh,
That's
my
what
God.
I would do.
Oh, you are. You are Mr. Needing. What a great story. I hope you share that
it is one of the ones I share in my show, among others.
Okay. So just to be sure, it's the 18th, right?
It is the 18th.
December
correct,
the 18th, 7:30 at the Wick. Just another family tree. Even if you saw the show, She Loves Me, you should go back and see this. I'm going to be there. I have to get that on my calendar because I know that it will be spectacular. But let's carry forward. So you have now a family, and you have a son that's following in your footsteps. Do you have daughters?
No, I have two boys.
Okay.
My oldest is 22, and he's a student at UC Irvine, and he's in his senior year studying to be a mechanical engineer. Which to me, and he's got that side of the brain, but he's also got the other one. He's a terrific guitar player. He's a terrific singer, but he's got that math science thing. And I have to tell you, I said to him, if you get this degree, and he's in the last stages of it, it'll truly be the greatest accomplishment by a Cassidy, bar none, because it's so far removed from what he was exposed to growing up. And my other son, who just turned 19, as I said, is named after his grandfather, Jack Cassidy, and he is truly a prodigy in my family. My family, all of the members of it, will tell you that there is no better singer. My son is an incredible singer. He got all the genes, and an incredible songwriter, too. So, my mother tried, obviously it worked like a charm, to keep all of her sons out of the business, and they all went in. And we have tried with my sons and with my nieces and nephews to try to keep them out of the business. And for the most part, it's worked. But with this kid, it was so evident that he was so good. He was so good that we had to say, you got to take a shot at this. So he's pursuing that, and he's about to go on a little tour. And he's got an up and coming a chance to get signed by Capitol Christian Records, and he's doing great. So he will be a part of Just Another Family Tree too, as I said earlier.
So what song you said it's going to be on iTunes? What's the name of it? Do you have it in your mind?
It's called Emmanuel. He can save the world. It's a Christmas song, and it's a gorgeous ballad that he wrote the music and lyrics to.
Really?
And performed, and it comes out on iTunes this Friday.
So he wrote the music and he's singing it.
Wrote the music, wrote the lyrics.
Oh my heavens!
And he's the performer of it. No, he's the real deal. He's the real deal.
So you really are. You're one of the fortunate people in show business. We know that there's so much heartbreak in show business. Sounds like, I'm sure it hasn't been perfect, but it sounds like you all really have your act together. Pardon the expression.
Well, Anita, I've truly been blessed, and I'm incredibly grateful that I've been able to, make a living, some years good, some years not so good, but make a consistent living at what, I've been doing for 40 years. I started professionally when I was 17 and a half. And so to be able to do that and to continually do it and to be cast in theater or television and the other thing, 8 years ago, I started teaching. I fell in love with teaching and directing. And so now I work at a lot of colleges, and I worked at the Wynn Hotel in Las Vegas. I was the resident director there for the big show that they had called Showstoppers. But after this, I'm going to WMU, Western Michigan University, and I'm going to direct Jesus Christ Superstar, and I'm going to teach 2 classes a week, an on-camera film class. So I do that too.
I can't get over that. Of course, it's cold there, not California.
Yes, it will be. I'll be there from early February to early April, so I will be wearing my parka. Yes.
Oh, well, that is, that's lovely because it sounds like you want to just keep trying new things, and I'm sure that your students, they're going to fill that class up so fast. But before we get, I don't want to run out of time. I want to talk a little bit about She Loves Me. This is a very, very sweet story, and I am sure, years ago, it used to be people would write letters to, they'd find somebody, they didn't know them. Today, it's the Internet. So you're writing to somebody, you're looking at each other, you don't really know them. But this is back when people didn't see you. You just wrote a letter and you liked what the letter said. And I'm not going to spill the beans on the show, but it is sweet. It is raucous. I will tell you that. In some places, it's, you want to smack them and say, what's wrong with you? But it's,
Yeah, this story has stood the test of time. Like I said, it was an old movie. I think it was 2 movies. And I forgot this, too. There was a follow-up movie way after the musical was done, which is totally based on this, too, called You've Got Mail with Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks.
I love that. It's the
same story. It's the same story.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, so obviously the story itself really holds up, and people keep trying to recreate it and put different actors in it and put it on film and put it on the stage. So it's a wonderful story. It's a wonderful love story and a romantic, and it's in lieu of Christmas time, it's got that holiday spirit in it.
Yes.
They have a whole Christmas section in it where it's 12 days to Christmas, which gets faster and faster and faster as the days goes by.
And, of course, for anyone who's been to the Wick, you know that the costumes are outrageously gorgeous. That's thanks to Marilyn Wick's costume world. But the costumes, you'll just drool at them. Even your suit was so beautifully tailored. And, all the costumes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, I feel very fortunate when I put on each one of them every night. Yep,
yeah, it really was great. And the other thing is when you see the women with the going and buying all this perfume. Those were the ladies, right? And actually we have them. When you go into the big malls now and there's all these cosmetic counters, it's kind of the same thing. They have to go and buy this and buy that, and they walk out. I saw so much of life, even though it was taken quite a few years ago when they did that. But
I don't know if they have any sales guys like my character, Stephen Kadai, guys that are that slick.
No, they
or
do.
Maybe they do.
They do. You know what? I think about that. They do have them like that. But you know what they do? They do the makeup also while you're there.
Oh, that's right.
Right? They do other things. Right. Before we leave, though, and I know we have less than 2 minutes, I just wanted to tell you, I wanted to ask one thing. What was it like to have a mother like Shirley Jones who had all the balls up in the air all the time, and yet she had her own career? That must have been astonishing.
I say this a lot. My mom was always mom to me. And it wasn't until I was 40 and I was watching with my brothers, my siblings, an A&E biography that was 2 hours about her career. And I remember sitting there watching it with my family when I finally got it. It hit me like a bolt of lightning. I saw the star. I saw what people fell in love with. I saw her charisma. Her talent was always there. She had this God-given, gorgeous voice. I saw the beauty of who she was when she was younger, and I saw what Rodgers and Hammerstein saw. And it was really like I said, a bolt of lightning hit me, because to me, because of the essence of who she is, she was just always mom. But to then sort of, kind of step out of that, because I'm an actor myself, and to look at the talent that made her what she became in terms of a movie star and stuff was such an interesting take. I really got what America and the world fell in love with and what Rodgers and Hammerstein fell in love with.
That is lovely that you all are living to be able to enjoy this. And we certainly felt privileged to have you doing this. The show was great, but having your being there made it even more special. And, of course, the upcoming show that's going to be December the 18th on a Monday night at 7:30, Just Another Family Tree. That will be extraordinary. That's unusual. I don't think that she's ever done anything like this.
Well, I'm hoping people come out and see, because they will learn, like I said, a significant amount about what it was like growing up as the son of, the brother of, and just my career itself. One little tidbit I'll give you, and I tell it in the show, is, I was discovered on the movie The Music Man, and that's all I'll say.
I saw that picture in the brochure, The Music Man. Yeah, okay, so we'll see. I can't wait. I love that. Oh, I love that show.
It's a great story about how I made my film debut in the movie The Music Man.
Okay, Mr. Needy Boy. I will see you then. Thank you so much,
All
Patrick.
Right, Anita. You're very welcome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.